Okay, so the issue with this here is that you did the exact same thing the first round, right? And that's something you never want to do, which is be predictable. You never want to be predictable for the enemy, especially when it's with a spawn peak or something like that. What's going on, guys? Mayo here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing something a little different with the VOD reviews. So as you guys know, I have the VOD form here on my YouTube channel linked in the description, and that is for public VOD reviews, which I will upload on my YouTube channel. But today, this is going to be a private VOD review session from my coaching service over on Patreon. So it's the same thing, just a longer VOD review. So if you guys enjoy or would like to see more of this style of content with these private VOD review sessions, then let me know in the comments and also by leaving a like. But with all of that being said, let's jump into the video. Before we jump in, do you have any questions or anything?
No.
Okay.
All right.
So is this a 5-stack here or is this solo queue?
It's okay.
Okay, got it. How long ago was this?
I would say 2 weeks.
Okay. Have you been seeing improvement from our last session?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What are some?
I got off copper, I believe, but I'm still in bronze.
Okay, that's an improvement. That's good. What would you say are like still some things that you struggle with though? Like just from kind of evaluating from last session.
I would say movement and judgment, I guess. I'm not sure when to push it and like when to not.
Like difficulty reading a situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a good weekend?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You do any fun activities?
Not really. I'm still waiting for my vaccination.
Oh yeah. Are you getting your first or second shot?
I have a medical condition, so unfortunately I'm relegated to wait quite a few weeks more. But it's okay.
Sorry to hear that. Rather.
Don't worry about it. I'm good.
So first thing I'm kind of recognizing is do you see how like the approach that you're taking with your utility placement and your rotation is like potentially putting you in a bad position? Like you see here, like we're 40 seconds into the round. You're kind of putting down barbed wire still, stuff like that. So I know it might be a little bit more difficult in a solo queue environment, but try to communicate to other operators like this Vigil, for example, to be doing the stuff that you're doing, right? Like getting hatches, because you're playing Tachanka, which is a very slow operator, right? So when you are playing an operator like this, or you don't really have the best of the abilities to do these long rotations of getting hatches and then, you know, running through open into kitchen into squared and then barricading blue and stuff, right? You don't have the speed to your advantage to do that, right? So maybe try to communicate that with your teammate, like the Vigil or the Valkyrie here in this situation, and ask them if they could do the things that you were planning on doing. If that isn't an option though, something else that you can do is kind of pre-plan your route of what you want to do. So what I mean by this is, like, think of the most dangerous areas that you're going to be crossing through in terms of where the attackers are going to be first, right? So if we kind of go back here a moment, you kind of see them taking E-box control here, right? So if you don't know, this room here where this drone just came through, this doorway and kind of this little closet area there, is called E-box, and you know that leads to the alley spawn, and you can see their drones. So this is something that you kind of want to prepare for when it comes to this. Like, this is a pretty hot spot area for the attackers to approach first, and same thing with like open window, right? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Something else here also, I know that it's kind of a scary thing to do, but running through the lion skin in that situation there would have been probably the better option, so that way you can reposition faster, and you know, you also have the barricade that you just placed in the blue door to your advantage as well, right? So they have to go through that before they can access you, so you kind of know that. So what's the reasoning for you opening that door? Is that just for like a rotation if you need it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was guessing if I killed the sledge. I believe that was sledge, right?
Yeah, you killed Sledge, yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking like his teammates probably know where I am. So in case I need to get out of there, I'll remove barricade.
Yeah. Okay. So what we talked about previously about you kind of taking this route and putting yourself in a bad position. Do you see how this is like become much more of a worse situation now, because you're stuck in blue? You have to fight your way out, which is something you never want to do as a defender. You should make the attackers feel that way. So it's really important that you think about the route and everything that you want to take, right? So that way you don't put yourself in a position like this and end up having to sorry, I lost my train of thought. You don't end up having to retake a position as a defender, right? Like, you don't want to be forced to cross through the enemy's lines of sight. So what's the reasoning for you playing the position, or sorry, the situation like you are? Not necessarily like...
I want to draw the time, because maybe like she doesn't have the diffuser, or the diffuser is like halfway across the map, so I don't want her to kill me.
Okay, I see that side of where you're going with that. Something you never really want to do as a defender is kind of giving up real estate, right? So we go from you taking the gunfight onto this doorway here, right? And then, you know, the Dokubi's playing on the bomb chassis in CC there. So what I mean by giving up real estate is you wanting to push back a little bit is decision in this situation, but what I'm talking about more specifically here is, do you see how you going from, you know, this doorway here, crossing to the blue door and then playing there? Like, you're giving up all of this room here that you're potentially going to have to retake if you need to, right? Like, this is more ground you're going to need to cover. And something else that you did here was use your fire grenades as well onto Tonka, right? So if you are scared or trying to predict that the enemy, the Dokubi here in this situation, is going to try to come to kill you, you can do the exact same thing you did with your fire by putting it on this doorway and a lot more efficiently, right? Because you kind of shot the fire grenade into server and it kind of landed around here somewhere, so you know she can just run right by it and then go kill you, right? So you don't want to give up the real estate that you don't need to give up as a defender. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so in this situation here, I'm sure you've been in a lot of these situations where a large portion of your team dies pretty fast, and you're going to be met with more situations like this. So something that you have to your advantage here is information with Pulse, right? So you're going to want to use that to your advantage and maximize that information as much as you can, because in a 2v5 situation like this with 2 minutes left, the attackers are pretty much sitting in a position where it's close to impossible for them to lose. So something that you need to do in these kind of situations is really try to focus on those 1v1 engagements and try to get those picks. So we have a great example of that here with the sledge. So as soon as you see him, so you know, you're on your pulse scanner here, you're looking up at the hatch, so you know nobody's on the hatch currently, right? At this point, you know, or else you would see them, correct?
Oh yeah.
So once you see the sledge in CC right next to you through the wall, this is where you really need to make the conscious decision of being the aggressor in this situation, because playing the angle like this, you know, only left you in the same position that you were once in, which is something that you don't want to happen. So you really need to be the aggressor in these 1v1 engagements, so that way you can even the man count. Just because the attackers have so many advantages, you need to take away some of those pretty fast, so that way you can set yourself up for later on in the round.
Yeah.
See like that there, like catching that ace off guard was a really good example. You know, you isolated the 1v1, you took it, and now you're repositioning. So this is a good example of what I'm talking about here, where you should be looking for these 1v1s and trying to take them. Okay, so something that a lot of people do in clutch situations here, they sit still. This is a big issue that a lot of people have, especially when they're not really feeling the most confidence in the situation. So the reason this is kind of an issue for the most part in a lot of situations, I'm not going to say all, just because every situation is different, but when you are in a situation where it's a 1v4, the diffuser's planted, you have half time in the diffuser, so you're pretty crunched in terms of time. Sitting still is not only going to put the attackers in a better position, because the longer you wait, the less time you have to reposition, work picks, and then eventually defuse, right? And another reason is because it allows the attackers, or the enemy rather, to have the ability to predict your positioning a lot more accurately the longer you stay in a position. Because in a 1v4, you can guarantee almost that the attackers are going to be very aggressive. They're going to be hunting for the kill, which is exactly what happened here, right?
Yeah.
So, trying your hardest to make your positioning unpredictable. And that falls under what I just mentioned a moment ago of being the aggressor in this situation. A lot of the times, in these kind of situations, if you're the aggressor, you have the opportunity, or sorry, a higher chance of catching the attackers off guard, just because it's not really something that you see the defenders do. That's not really the norm of a defender. You know, the defender's there for the attackers to walk into them, not the other way around. So if you become the aggressor, you have a higher chance of potentially catching the enemy off guard, which will, you know, set you up for better on later in the round, or, you know, the situation here, right? Does that make sense?
But yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think I would have won this 1v5 with the diffuser down anyway, though.
I mean, you never know. It's Siege. I've seen plenty of unwinnable situations be won. It really comes down to, in those situations, confidence. And I mean, honestly, the biggest thing is confidence, right? Like, even there, you can see you were lacking a little bit of confidence in your positioning, right? Like, you were afraid to take gunfights. You kind of froze in the situation. So you have to understand that every single clutch situation that you're in, you're never going to win. You're going to make mistakes, and if you don't full commit in a situation like that, then it's going to take you longer to learn from your mistakes, because you're not fully committing. You're not trying your hardest. You're not putting in full effort, which is why, you know, learning from your mistakes will take longer, because there's not as much effort as there could be. What's the reasoning for you opening that door? Is that just to kind of make the attackers think that you're spawn peeking?
I think I do believe I run. I'll just try a couple wild shots, Hail Mary shots. But I do eventually retreat, like, make them worry a little bit, slow their advance.
Okay, so the issue with this here is that you did the exact same thing the first round, right? And that's something you never want to do, which is be predictable. You never want to be predictable for the enemy, especially when it's with a spawn peek or something like that. You always want to catch the enemy off guard. That's something that should always be sought after, and you should try to achieve, is unpredictability.
And this top side is really easy to defend and believe.
You think so?
Yeah. In many of my rounds in normals and ranked, this site hardly gets penetrated, or the attackers win this site hardly.
Wait until you play that bomb site in higher elo, and then see if you feel the same way. That bomb site in higher elo is a hell in a cell. That's one of the hardest bomb sites to defend on this map. But I mean, you guys
want because of the repelling thing outside.
Yeah, the repelling thing. So something that some maps lack, and can really change the difference of a round in terms of the attackers or defenders winning, is buffer rooms. So like with Bank, like here's the CO wall, right? Like, you got square here, this is square, then you kind of got the hallway here, right? So
yeah.
If the doorway is here, like the double door leading from terrace inside, like, this is only one buffer room, a square, right? And then they have access to the wall, right? And they can nade over, they can EMP, they can go on the window rappel, as you said. They go on the window rappel, they got lines of sight on the wall. Shoot the bandit batteries, mute jam arcade, whatever. So a big thing with maps is, like, understanding the rotation ability and how fast an attacker or defender is going to get to a position. Because, you know, we just talked about this, actually, is predictability, right? So if you kind of understand, okay, it takes this long on average to get here from here, you know, I should be expecting the enemy here by now. That's something that should, you know, be implemented once you start climbing the ranks and not really having to worry about the basics as much. So yeah, like this buffer room, which is square, isn't really a lot for the defenders to work with, just because the attackers have outside to inside access, and then also outside to bomb site access extremely fast just from this one doorway. And then same thing with the windows, right? Like there's no buffer rooms there. They can go from spawning outside to getting on window rappel. They have instant influence on the bomb site. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
That's why a lot of the reworks you see, there's a lot of added rooms, like theme park, for example, is a good example. Cafe, some added rooms. Like the new hatch, for example. Just rooms are really important in between the outside and inside of a bomb site. Extremely important. Same thing with walls, windows, doors, or whatever.
Yeah, because you have to clear it and stuff, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, it's going to take the attackers a little bit longer to access the bomb site. Just because, you know, they have to drone the room, they have to take the room, and then they have to drone past the room they just took and, you know, repeat the process.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, like, sensitivity is a pretty common topic that we talked about last time, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I believe it was too high last time.
Yeah. Are you feeling better with your sense after you kind of tweaked it?
I was actually a little bit transitioned to arm aim in this game. So it was a little bit in between and it was a little bit tougher, I guess.
Yeah, you're not used to it, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're seeing better results?
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't whiff as many shots as before.
That's good. Have you been changing like T-Hunt? It's funny you say I don't whiff that many shots and then you spray like half a mag on the default cam. But have you been like changing your T-Hunt routine at all? Like doing anything different?
No, I don't play TN actually.
Oh really? Okay. Is there a reason for that?
I guess it's I'm too lazy, I guess.
Okay.
And my friends, they don't want to play T anyway. They just want to hop in normal rank.
Well, maybe, you know, if you guys say like get on an X time, you know, you could get on a little bit earlier and try it out. I definitely think it's something that you should explore, especially since you're pretty new to the game, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you're like, since you're kind of a newer player, getting in those reps as much as you can is really important. So I would definitely say and encourage you to try, you know, try T-Hunt out, see how it goes.
Okay, I'll try it out.
Okay, so do you see how you opening this window here is an issue?
How so?
Okay, so a pretty default attack on this map, or sorry, this bomb site rather, is, you know, taking square control, which is below you. We kind of just talked about that, right? So
Oh yeah.
a big issue with what you just did here is you allowed the defenders to get a crossfire on you, pretty, not for free, I wouldn't say, but a very easy crossfire, right? So if you have a defender positioned in stock, he's holding an angle onto the square double door, and let's say, you know, you have the CEO walls open over here to the right, like inside, right? So now they have a crossfire from the wall on the double door and as well as the stock window. So this is only something you should ever open if you're going to try to take control of it. Now, granted, taking stock control on a CO attack is pretty default, right? Like, it's a pretty common thing to do. But the skip step here is that there's no preparation for taking it, right? Like, there's nobody here droning it or saying they want to take it. This Sophia looks like she wants to take it, but again, she's not prepared for that window to be open, right? She is nowhere near in the right position to be prepared to potentially take a gunfight if somebody's deep in stock and they're looking through the window, right? Because once she drops down, she's going to land here right in front of this window, and if she starts getting shot or she opens this window on the left, you know, now she might have to cross right, and, you know, she's just going to be stuck there, correct? So, this is something that should be accounted for if and when you are ready to take it. And this goes for, you know, any other crossfire that might be similar to this situation here, or sorry, these angles.
Yeah, and Sophia actually gets down because of this.
Yeah, see, exactly. This is exactly what I'm talking about here. Like, there was no preparation for that, right? Like, I don't even believe Zofia knew the window was open. Or maybe she did and she just didn't really care, you know?
Yeah.
Also here, so, you did a good job on the refrag. You kind of made up for the mistake of opening the window, but something that should be always taken into consideration is putting your life in front of your injured teammate's life. Because him dying is something you always want to avoid, right? That's something that you should always try to avoid, is giving up a free kill like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But something else that is much more punishing for your team is if you try to just, you know, Usain Bolt to him, try to res him, and then you die in the process and he dies as well, right? Now you've given up 2 lives when it could have only been 1. Even though you don't want to give up this kill of the Zofia, you would much rather have 1 person die than 2, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because the way you approach this situation here, there was no care for stock here. Like you glanced at the window while vaulting, but there was no follow through with checking deep stock. While you also have a drone in there, right? Like, you could use that drone, quickly drone stock, check the hallway. Okay, I know all this is clear. I'm now going to go revive. So that way you can avoid 2 people dying. So that way you can avoid, yes. So that way you can avoid 2 people dying, right? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a risk there.
Also, I don't know if you know this, but do you remember the shield being here on the janitor door? So you could have killed the smoke from the skylight. You can see probably, I don't know, I would say probably like right on this line from skylight. So if you kind of like, there's like a ledge up there, like that's elevated. If you go prone on that, you can see pretty deep. And then you probably could have shot over the shield since you have the elevation from the skylight onto the shield itself. Yeah, that's something I forgot to mention previously, but yeah, it like when your team is like taking square control and stuff, there should always be someone watching this, because it's very common for a defender just to swing out and, you know, try to hold this cross here from the square door through square itself, right? So if nobody's holding this door from either stock like you are now, from the skylight, or, you know, holding an angle from walking into square, this is something that should always be watched up until the point where you either drone it and you know there's no buddy positioned in there, or you have control of it itself.